There are 4 problems that will keep you from varsity baseball, and in this video, you're gonna learn what those 4 problems are and how to solve them. But first, if you don't know who I am, my name is Coach Bougie. I run a page called Catching Made Simple, and my story is I played infield until I transitioned to a catcher when I was a junior in college, and now I get to coach catchers online. Fun fact about that is I played at Biola University with Coach Rack, and now we created Not Your Average Baseball together and run camps and help kids really build skill online. So let's jump into this. But first, if you haven't gotten the super simple guide to catching, I would highly recommend it. Go to catchmadesimple.com/super simple. Okay. So there are 4 problems keeping you from varsity baseball. This is true for catchers, and this is also true for other positions, but this is specifically for you if you're a catcher. So, first problem is you can't move correctly, right? You don't know how to block, you don't know how to receive the ball, just your biomechanics are actually setting you up to fail. Second, you can't move in the game. You might be able to do it when your dad's tossing you the ball, but to be able to do it at full speed, at game speed, that's a tough transition. So that's another thing that's preventing you from varsity baseball. The next thing is you aren't prepared for every situation, right? You don't know how to call a first and third defense. You don't know how to do a tag play at the plate. You don't know how to slide if there's a wild pitch or a pass ball and pick it up and throw it to the pitcher. If you don't know how to do that, you aren't ready for varsity. And finally, you don't know how to lead. And at a certain point, once you get skilled enough, then it becomes about your leadership. It becomes about your mindset. It becomes about your skill set. And if you want to go on and play beyond high school, people want to know how good of a leader you are because coaches want people they can trust. So if only there were a plan to help you, don't worry, I got you. Okay, so here's your 4-step plan to get ready for varsity. Number one, you have to master the movements. So we were struggling to know how to move. Now we're going to master the movements. Next, we struggled to take it into the game. Now we're going to get game ready. Okay. Then we don't know how to solve or how to handle every situation that's going to come up. Then we're going to nail the nuances. And finally, we don't know how to lead. So then we're going to learn to lead. Okay. Those are the 4 programs: Catch Core, Catch Pro, Catch Craft, and Catch Command. Okay. The cool thing about this too is throughout your whole journey, you have a trusted guide guiding you through a proven process and giving you timely, personalized feedback. It's pretty awesome. I've had over 100 catchers go through Catch Core. Not all of them have continued because I didn't have it built at the beginning, but now I do. Okay. All of this so that you can go further, faster, and with fewer mistakes. Sound like a plan? I hope so. Okay, so there's 3 ways to start this, and all of them are catch core. You're going to see me break down the differences between the 2, but you can see all of them start with mastering the movements and then funnel into the rest of the program. So there's regular catch core, there's catch core softball, which is regular catch core just for softball players, and then there's catch core flex. We're going to break down all of those. So there's 3 differences between the different catch cores. So 1 is frequency, 2 is philosophy, and 3 is focus. Okay, we're going to dive into each of those right here. So let's talk through number 1, frequency. So with frequency, basically, you can put catch core and catch core softball in the same section. It's a daily practice one. You're going to see with softball, we did 6 videos a week rather than 7 because having a day of rest is great. Okay, they're all 4 weeks, and then Catch Core Flex is three videos a week, right? You can still practice every day, but you're going to submit a video and get video feedback 3 days a week. So the advantage of a higher frequency is that you get better faster, really, at the end of the day. These are feedback loops. Big fan of feedback loops. This is skill on the left side or on the y-axis and time on the x-axis, and you can see you can get better really fast or you can take a long time and not get much better. The difference is how many feedback loops you're going through. I have a lot of stuff on this, but basically a feedback loop is you trying something, identifying what the problem is, getting the right information, and then trying to fix it. And you do that over and over and over. It can be really helpful with a coach to do video reviews. Okay. So let's talk through philosophy number 2. So philosophy is the framework of how the training is structured, and this specifically applies to the weekly structure. So there are two philosophy approaches. The first one is we focus on what happens most. Regardless of how hard it is, we're going to look at everything that happens the most often, and we're going to go right after the thing that happens the most because that's going to be arguably the most important thing. Okay. And then, secondly, the other option would be to go after the lowest hanging fruit. So rather than looking at what happens most, we look at it and we say, what's the thing that's easiest to fix? Let's get you some quick wins. So here's how this applies to Catch Core with its training philosophy, specifically in its weekly structure. You're going to see in Catch Core, we focus on what happens most. And so if you were to assume a 100 pitch game, you would get into two stances every pitch, which would be roughly 200 stances, your sign stance, and then your primary, secondary, single knee, whatever stance you get into to actually field the position. And then in the game, you probably are going to throw maybe 5 times, and you block maybe 15 times, and that leaves the rest of the 80 pitches that you're going to receive in the air. And so we should, by the numbers, focus on receiving. So you see our weekly structure is based off of what happens most. Now that's for Catch Core and for Catch Core softball. Okay, in Catch Core Flex, we switch it and we go by lowest hanging fruit. And lowest hanging fruit, remember, is difficulty to fix. And so you can see these little charts right here. But basically, the stances are the easiest to fix. Plus, they're super important because they affect everything else. Blocking is the next easiest thing to fix. And it's typically a really urgent problem from people that are reaching out to me. Throwing is the next easiest to fix. Now, the arm path takes a lot more time, but learning to have someone start to turn their body and get their foot down and just anticipate turning and get the right footwork, that's a super easy fix. And then receiving is actually pretty difficult. It takes a lot of work to work on receiving. So with Catch Core Flex, we flip the order a bit and we move receiving down to week 4 and then bump up blocking and throwing because we're going off of lowest hanging fruit. So that's one difference between Catch Core and Catch Core Flex. All right, now the third difference is focus. And as we talk through focus, we want to think about movement and levels. So let's define terms. Movement is the mechanical technique to be able to do the skill, and level is the stage of movement training. And I view movement training in the way that I've structured it is there are 5 levels, which I believe that we're going to get into in just here in a second. So the big idea here is movement and levels. The difference between the two, well, you're going to see in just a second, but basically movement is just a subset of each level. You're just going to see it a little bit more broken down. So here are the 5 levels of skill development. So the first thing is you learn how to move. The second thing is you add a ball. And as soon as you add the ball, it breaks, right? Then you have to go back, learn how to move and bridge it up. And then you increase the variables or you make it harder. Then you sharpen the decisions and then you let it eat. So here is why we have each level. So in level 1, you learn to move. The goal is to get the technique right. Again, the biggest problem specifically for catchers is they are not trained on how to move correctly. And so biomechanically, they are set up to fail. So we have to train the body to move correctly. And at first, it just takes removing everything else and isolating each movement and doing it one step at a time. Then, once we get the movement down, we go slow, we go a little bit faster, then we add in the ball. And as soon as this happens, it happens every time, then the body reverts to whatever the pattern was that was bad before. And this is totally normal, but you have to bridge the correct movement into adding it with the ball until you can do the correct movement with the ball. Then, once you can do it with the ball, then you make it harder. You increase the variables. You make it faster. You do it from a more difficult stance. You keep raising the level little by little by little until you get the perfect movement across these difficult skill sets. Okay? And then the next level after that is then you have to work on sharpening your decisions, like to block versus receive, like whether you need to get around this pitch or get around this pitch, right? Like you need to sharpen those decisions, because it doesn't matter if you can do the skill. If your read is late, you're still not going to perform in the game. Then the fifth level is you just let it eat. You throw everything out the window and you just compete in the game and you just let it eat. Okay. Now, here's how this applies to catch core with the movement and with the levels. You're going to see catch core is one movement a day. Okay. Every day we stack one movement, whereas catch core flex is one level. And so basically, you can see that days 1 and 2 are broken up, and day 1 here has days 1 and 2 in it. And that's essentially how it's working. Okay. So let's recap what your 3 catch core options are, with the different options. So in catch core, the frequency is 7 days a week. The philosophy is what happens most, right? We focus on one movement a day and it's 4 weeks long. In catch core softball, it's 6 times a week. We also focus on what happens most. It's one movement a day and it's 4 weeks. So again, remember, catch core and catch core softball are essentially the same program. Catch core softball is just filmed with with a softball coach, all of that. So it's a little bit more tailored towards softballs. And there's a few like small differences between baseball catching and softball catching that we dive into. And then catch core flex is 3 days a week. The philosophy is we use the lowest hanging fruit and we focus on one level a day, and it's 4 weeks. Okay, so all 3 of these fit into your varsity ready plan because it's going to solve the right problem at the right time. Master the movements, get game ready, nail the nuances, and learn to lead. So again, another quick review. Catch core is either one skill a week or one movement a day, depending on which one you choose to start. And it's either 3 times a week or every day or 6 days a week, depending on which one you start with. And it's a 4-week program. What that goes into after catch core is then we focus on taking those movements that we really nailed and we translate that into the game. And so there's a continued cumulative review. We work on advancing the skill level and then even teaching you to review your own videos. We give you feedback on the player that actually reviews their own videos. That's a 3 time a week feedback, and it's about 6 weeks long. Okay, then we get into catch craft, and here we cover all the specialty plays as we continue to focus on the cumulative review. We can't take our eyes off of the most important things that happen the most often, which are stances, receiving, blocking, and throwing. And that goes down to 2 videos a week of review from a coach looking at your catcher, looking at the things that we need to do versus need to change. And that's about a 12-week long program because we want to focus 1 week twice on the same skill so that we can see it twice. So, like double play, infield in, let's do that, film it, set it in, and then we'll give you another chance to correct the stuff that we call out and then get some more feedback on it. And then after catch command, which is learn to lead, there's leadership challenges. Where I'm at right now, as I film this, I'm still building this part out, but this is where I see it going. Okay. So, which catch core is right for you? Well, you have catch core regular, you have catch core softball, which are virtually the same thing. The only difference is baseball or softball. And then you have catch core flex. Okay. So, here's my recommendation. If you value a deeper foundation, then I would go with catch core or catch core softball. Okay. If you value time efficiency, then I would go with catch core flex. You'll still make great progress. It maybe won't be as in depth per se, but you're still going to make great progress. I've had a ton of people go through this and have had amazing results. Okay. So if you want help, reach out to me at catchingmadesimple.com. Okay. And if you haven't gotten the super simple guide to catching already, make sure to go to catchingmadesimple.com/super simple. Grab the guide. It's free. There's 12 case studies in there, plus the 4 just more in-depth teaching and coaching on everything that you're saying here. So all that being said, I'm Coach Bougie. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that this helps you get ready for varsity. And if you're a catcher and you want help, again, reach out to me at catchingmadesimple.com. See you soon.